Okay. So hemostasis, it is defined as arrest or stoppage of bleeding. Okay. So the mechanisms by which the bleeding stops or get arrested, it is called as the hemostasis. So hemostasis word can be divided into two. That is, one second. So it can be divided into two. That is hemo and stasis. Stasis means stoppage. Okay, and hemo is related to blood. Okay, so in this context it is bleeding. Okay, mechanism by which there is stoppage of bleeding. So there are three stages of hemostasis. So when a blood vessel is injured, the injury initiates series of reaction resulting in hemostasis. So what is required in order to hemostasis to occur is the injury to the blood vessel. It is injury to the blood vessel is required. Okay, and this injury is responsible for the initiation of the process, that is hemostasis. Okay, so first stage in that it is vasoconstriction. Okay, so it again has two components, that is vaso and the constriction. So vaso, it indicates or it is related to the blood vessel, and the constriction, it means that it is reduction in blood vessel diameter. Okay, so I will give example of this. If this is the blood vessel and this is the diameter of the blood vessel, so in case of vasoconstriction, this diameter of the blood vessel will decrease, and there are certain chemicals released that bring about this vasoconstriction. So why vasoconstriction occurs, that we will study in next slide. Okay, second stage of hemostasis is platelet plug formation. Okay, so we have already seen the function which is played by the platelets. Platelets, they are responsible for the coagulation process. Okay, so third step is the actual coagulation of blood. Okay, so the coagulation of blood is the, in a way, it is a lengthy process to describe, but actually it takes very less time to happen. Okay, so let's see what is vasoconstriction. So immediately after injury, blood vessel constricts and decrease the loss of blood from damaged portion. So what is function of this vasoconstriction? It is elaborated in the first sentence only, that when the blood vessel constricts, it decreases the loss of blood. So what is purpose of vasoconstriction? Is to decrease the loss of blood from the damaged portion of the blood vessel. So usually arterioles and small arteries constrict. Okay, so remember these arterioles and small arteries that constrict in case of this first stage of hemostasis. Then vasoconstriction is purely a local phenomenon. Okay, next characteristic of this vasoconstriction, it is a local phenomenon. That means there are two terminologies to be considered, that is local and general. Okay, so local means what, the it has limited scope. Okay, when we say local phenomenon, it has limited scope, it is limited to a particular location only. And when we say a generalized phenomenon or a general phenomenon, it the scope of the general phenomenon, it is very wide. Okay, so example can be taken. uh, in case of this coronavirus disease only, I will take one example. In the month of December 2019, it was a local phenomenon. Okay, so that time only Wuhan city of the China, we, the patients were to be found in this particular city only. But as the it started spreading across the world, it became the general phenomena. Okay, so see the scope of it. For coronavirus in 2019, it was a local phenomenon, but now it is a general phenomenon has become. Okay, so that is difference between local and the general. Okay, so vasoconstriction occurs locally only, so it has very limited scope. So it will occur only in the blood vessel where there is injury is present. Okay, when the blood vessels, sorry, when the blood vessels are cut, the endothelium is damaged and the collagen is exposed. Okay, so endothelium is epithelium. Okay, so inside, if we consider this is the blood vessel, so this face of the blood vessel will be the outer face and this will be the inner face of the blood vessel. Okay, so the inner face of the blood vessel, it is made up of endothelium, and endothelium is specialized type of epithelium only. Okay, so when the blood vessel is cut, okay, it damages the endothelium as well as the collagen which is underneath. Collagen, when we say collagen, it is connective tissue. Okay, so below to the epithelium we have seen, uh, below to the epithelium, just in contact with the epithelial cells, it is basement membrane, and below to the basement membrane we have connective tissue. And this connective tissue, we have seen it is made up of the extracellular matrix and the cells. So part of the extracellular matrix, it consists of the protein fibers and the ground substance, and in one of the protein fibers, so we have mentioned that is collagen fibers. Okay, so platelets adhere to this collagen and get activated. Okay, so this is next step. So whenever there is injury to the blood vessel, endothelium is cut or it's damaged and the collagen is exposed. So collagen as such is never in contact with the blood which is flowing through the blood vessel, but whenever there is injury, this collagen gets exposed. Okay, and for this collagen, the platelets are foreign, or vice versa it is true. That is, for the platelets, as they have never came in contact with the collagen fiber, the collagen fiber, they regard collagen fiber as the foreign material. Okay, so whenever, if it is like your senses get activated whenever you see someone who is unknown. Okay, if suppose you are in your home, okay, every day someone comes, your some relatives come to your home to meet you. That time you won't regard them as the some foreigners, or you won't regard them some as unknowns. Okay, but if some unknown person comes into your house and starts talking to you, then you get alert, you are on alert mode. So that's what happens when collagen gets exposed to the platelets, and this exposure of collagen, it is brought about by the damage to the blood vessels. And when platelets get exposed to this collagen, they attach to this collagen and they cause release reaction. They release different type of substances, different type of chemicals in the surroundings. Okay, so these activated platelets, uh, instead of activated, we can mention, we can say in our case that is alert. The platelets which get activated or they get alerted, they secrete serotonin. Okay, so serotonin, it is a type of chemical that is to be released by the activated platelets. And what type of chemical it is? This serotonin, it is a known or potent vasoconstrictor substance. Okay, so it causes constriction of the blood vessel. Okay, so adherence of platelet to collagen is accelerated by von Willebrand factor. Okay, so there is a type of protein which is present in the blood vessel or in the blood, which gets activated when there is injury to the blood vessel. And when this von Willebrand factor gets activated, this actually facilitates the binding or adherence of the platelets to the collagen. Okay, so platelets will on their own will bind to the collagen, but acceleration of this process, it is carried out by the von Willebrand factor. Okay, so this factor acts as a bridge between a specific glycoprotein present on the surface of platelet and the collagen fibrils. Okay, so as the sentence suggests, it connects the glycoprotein which is present in the cell wall of the platelets with that of the collagen fibrils. Okay, so this is vasoconstriction. So I will just in short will tell you what it is. This is all. So first of all, there will be injury to the blood vessel. So it endothelium thelium is damaged, and collagen exposed. Okay, so to this exposed collagen, the platelets bind or adhere to collagen. Okay, so this adherence to the collagen, it will cause activation of platelets. Okay, so as platelets get activated, they will release serotonin. Okay, and this serotonin will cause vasoconstriction. Okay, so this adherence to the collagen, it is accelerated by von Willebrand factor. Accelerates adherence. Okay, so that is vasoconstriction. So next stage in the hemostasis, it is platelet plug formation. So platelet gets adhered to the collagen of ruptured blood vessel and secrete adenosine diphosphate, that is ADP, and the thromboxane A2. Okay, so apart from the serotonin, it also produces or secretes ADP and the thromboxane A2. Okay, so these substances, they have different effect. So what these substances do? These substances attract more and more platelets and activate them. Okay, so what is the function of ADP and the thromboxane A2 is to attract more and more platelet at the site where there is damage to the endothelium and collagen is exposed. Okay, so platelet will be flowing through the blood. So as compared to the RBCs, platelet are very few in number, but as they are flowing through the blood vessel, we, in order to stop the flow of the blood or loss of the blood, we want to plug that particular hole which is created into the blood vessel. And how to create the plug or what forms that plug? It is the platelets. You understand when I say plug? Okay, so all of these platelets aggregate together and form a loose temporary platelet plug or temporary hemostatic plug. So why it is called as hemostatic plug? Because this is the plug that helps in stoppage of bleeding. Okay, so this hemostatic plug, it closes the ruptured vessel and prevents further blood loss. Okay, so whatever stages we have studied till now, they have one ultimate function in our mind, that in their mind, that whatever blood which is being lost through the damaged blood vessel, it should either decrease or stop completely. Okay, so uh, we cannot what to say, afford to lose so much of blood with a very small rupture in blood vessel. Okay, so if the wound is bigger, then blood loss will be higher, but if the wound is smaller, then we expect that there should be some kind of defense mechanism that will prevent against the loss of blood. Okay, so the platelet aggregation is accelerated by platelet activating factor. Okay, so there are three chemicals which we have studied in this. That is, first one is the ADP, second one is thromboxane A2, and third one is platelet activating factor. These two, they are from the platelets. Okay, so the the source of it is the arachidonic acid. Okay, so this is not our, right now it is not our concern that how this platelet activating factor comes into the picture. Only thing that is concern over here, that whatever platelet binds to the exposed collagen, it releases ADP and the thromboxane A2. Thi- these two chemicals, they brought about, or they bring more and more platelets at that particular site of injury. So these platelets, they form a loose plug that stops or decreases the loss of blood through that injured portion. Okay, by plugging that injured portion. Okay, now one thing you have to it is specifically mentioned over here, that whatever plug which is being formed, it is loose in nature or it is temporary in nature. Okay, so if it is a loose platelet plug, then if it is kept like that only, then what will happen? As the blood is continuously flowing through the blood vessel, this platelet plug, it will dismantle or disassociate from each other, and again the blood loss will continue. So we want this plug to be very tightly bound and kind of a permanent. Okay, permanent for some time. Okay, till the injury heals. After injury get healed, it should be dismantled, but till that time it should hold on to that position. So next stage of the hemostasis, it ensures that whatever loose plug that has been formed, it should be held together till the tissue is healed. Okay, so the next is the coagulation of the blood. So during this process, the fibrinogen is converted into fibrin. So you should understand one thing, that this is fibrin, it is a thread like structure. Okay, so this thread like structure, it holds the platelets together. So if we consider this is the blood vessel and this is the point where there is a injury. Okay, so earlier on one platelet will bind to the exposed collagen, then few more platelets will come together at that particular site. Okay, so in this condition the gaps between the platelets is more and the plug is also temporary. As the blood is flowing continuously through the blood vessel, it may happen that if there is nothing which holds this platelet plug together, these platelets they will separate from each other and they will flow flow away from the site of injury. Okay, so here the fibrin thread, a thread like structure किंवा दोऱ्यासारखं स्ट्रक्चर तयार होतं. The coagulation of the blood, the purpose of this stage is to prepare a fibrin thread that will hold this platelet plug together. So this thread like structure will hold this platelet plug together. Okay, so as this thread holds the platelet plug together, the platelets won't move away from the site of injury. Okay, it will, this plug will stay at this particular site only, and it will stay at this site till this particular injury is healed. Okay, so that is the thing. So we are going to see that how this fibrin thread forms and what is this fibrinogen. Okay, that is our main aim over here. So these fibrin threads get attached to the loose platelet plug, which blocks the ruptured part of the blood vessel and prevents further blood loss completely. Okay, so next let's see, this is the in short one page like uh, uh, take away of the stages which we have seen till now. That is, first is injury to the blood vessel and damage to endothelium. So exposure of collagen. So von Willebrand factor, it accelerates adherence of platelets to collagen. So platelets get activated. So once platelet get activated, so first stage is secretion of serotonin, and this secreted serotonin will bring about the vasoconstriction. So that is the stage 1. So the same activated platelets will secrete ADP and the thromboxane A2. So with the help of platelet activating factor which is not released by the platelets, it causes aggregation of the platelets, and these aggregated platelets will form the plug. Okay, so that is stage 2. And in stage 3, the formation of the prothrombin activator, sorry, so formation of prothrombin activator. So this prothrombin activator, it gets formed by means of two pathways, that is extrinsic and intrinsic pathways. Those two pathways we are going to study in detail. And this, once this prothrombin activator gets formed, it converts fibrinogen fibrinogen to fibrin. Okay, and this fibrin, it leads to the blood clotting, and that is the stage 3. So we are going to study in detail the stage 3. Okay, so mechanism of coagulation. So one second. Okay, so what is coagulation or clotting? So definition. So it is defined as the process in which blood loses its fluidity and becomes a jelly like mass few minutes after it is shed out. Means it is it comes out of the blood vessel or it is collected in a container. Okay, so whenever the blood is in the blood vessel, it has the fluidity, that means it is freely flowing. Okay, but whenever same blood comes out of the blood vessel, or it is collected in a container, then it loses its fluidity and turns into the gel like substance. And when this conversion happens, that is fluid to semi solid or gel like substance, this is called as coagulation or clotting process. So this coagulation or clotting process, it is facilitated by variety of coagulation factors which are there in the blood itself. Okay, so these coagulation factors, they are uh, when the blood is in blood vessel, they are in inactivated state. Okay, but whenever there is a injury, or whenever the blood comes in contact with the external environment, these coagulation factors, they get activated, and these activated factors, they bring about the coagulation process. Okay, so coagulation of blood occurs through a series of reactions due to activation of group of substances. So substances necessary for clotting are called as clotting factors. So in total there are 13 clotting factors, and these factors, they are mentioned as per the uh, or they are enlisted as per their year or year of discovery. Okay, so this factor 1 fibrinogen, it was discovered at first, that's why it is factor number 1. And this factor number 13, that is fibrin stabilizing factor, it was discovered at very very last, that's why it is factor number 13. Okay, and it is denoted by the Roman numerals. Okay, so factor number 1, it is fibrinogen. Factor number 2, it is prothrombin. Factor number 3, it is thromboplastin, which is also known as tissue factor. Factor number 4, it is calcium. So calcium as an ion, it is also a clotting factor. Then factor number 5, it is labile factor, or it is also known as proaccelerin or accelerator globulin. Okay, so factor number 6, it's present, it has not been proved. So factor number 6, the position is vacant. So factor number 7, it is a stable factor. Factor number 8, it is anti-hemophilic factor or anti-hemophilic globulin. Factor number 9, it is Christmas factor. So why it is called as Christmas factor? Because the absence of this was first of all described in a patient name as Christmas. Okay, that's why Christmas factor. The factor number 10, it is Stewart Prover factor. Then factor number 11, it is plasma thromboplastin antecedent. Then factor number 12, it is Hedgeman factor, or it is also known as contact factor. And the factor number 13, it is fibrin stabilizing factor or fibrinase. Okay, so sequence of clotting mechanism. So to explain how the clotting occurs, there was one theory which was put forward. It is called as the enzyme cascade theory. So this cascade means what? It refers to a process that occurs through series of steps, and each step initiating, sorry, each step initiating the next step until final step is reached. So it is stepwise reaction process that happens. So every next step is dependent on the previous step. Okay, so if previous step happens, then the next step will happen. If there is no previous step, then there is no next step. Okay, so it will continue till the last step is reached. Okay, so that is cascade. So most of the clotting factors are proteins in form of enzymes. So they are basically enzymes, and the biochemically when they are talked about, they are proteinous in nature. Okay, so normally all the factors present in the form of inactive proenzymes. Okay, so they are inactive when they are present in normal blood. So these proenzymes must be activated into enzymes to enforce clot formation. Okay, so these proenzymes, when activated, they give rise to enzymes. Okay, so it is carried out by series of proenzyme enzyme conversion reactions. So first one of the series is converted into active enzyme that activates the second one, which activates the third one, and this continues till the final active enzyme thrombin is formed. Okay, so let's see stages of blood clotting. So first stage is formation of prothrombin activator. Second step is conversion of prothrombin into thrombin, and the third stage is conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin. So the last two step, that is conversion of prothrombin to thrombin and the conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin, they are very easy. But this step, that is formation of prothrombin activator, it is a lengthy process. Okay, so again there are two pathways by which there is formation of prothrombin activator. So let's see what is stage 1, that is formation of prothrombin activator. So blood clotting commences with formation of substance called as prothrombin activator. Okay, so for blood clotting to happen, what we require is that prothrombin activator. So it converts prothrombin into thrombin. Okay, so what is its function? That is conversion of prothrombin to thrombin. So in a reaction format, it can be written like this. This is prothrombin to thrombin in presence of prothrombin activator. Okay, so its formation is initiated by substances produced either within the blood, this is important, or outside the blood. Okay, so depending on substances, the location of substances which is causing its formation, the it can occur through two pathways, that is intrinsic and extrinsic. Okay, so if the substances produce outside the blood, then it is by the extrinsic pathway, and if its formation is initiated by substances produced inside the blood, then it is intrinsic. Intrinsic, that is inside. Extrinsic, that is outside the blood. Okay, that is x to the blood, x blood, so that is outside the blood. So what is intrinsic pathway? We are going to study. So it this intrinsic pathway, it is a lengthy one as compared to the extrinsic pathway. So in this pathway, formation of prothrombin activator is initiated by platelets which are within the blood itself. Okay, so the causative factor for the initiation of this pathway is the platelets, and as we know, platelets are the part of the blood. That's why this pathway is known as intrinsic pathway, as it starts within the blood itself. Okay, so what are the sequence of events in intrinsic pathway? So during first step, during the injury, blood vessel is ruptured, endothelium is damaged, collagen beneath the endothelium is exposed. Okay, so we have already seen. So when factor 12, that is Hedgeman factor, comes in contact with the collagen, it is converted into activated factor 12 in presence of kallikrein and high molecular weight kinogen. Okay, so this Hedgeman factor in presence of kallikrein and a high molecular weight kinogen gets activated and forms activated factor 12. So this activated factor 12 converts factor 11 into activated factor 11 in presence of high molecular weight kinogen. Okay, so this activated factor 11 activates factor 9 in presence of factor 4. Okay, so activated factor 9 activates factor 10 in presence of factor 8 and the calcium, that is factor 4. Okay, so when platelet comes in contact with collagen of damaged blood vessel, it gets activated and releases phospholipids. Okay, so now activated factor 10 reacts with platelet phospholipid and factor 5 to form prothrombin activator. This needs the presence of calcium ions. Again, factor 4 is required for this. Okay, so this factor 5 is also activated by positive feedback effect of the thrombin. Okay, so it is mentioned in this format. So whenever there is blood trauma or contact with collagen, that is blood comes in contact with collagen, the factor 12, 12 gets activated. Okay, so this activated factor 12 in presence of high molecular weight kininogen and prekallikrein converts factor 11 to activated factor 11. So it is in activated factor 11 and the factor 4 converts 9. Please understand this: 12, 11, 9, 10. Okay, so don't forget this sequence. So it is like descending sequence, but 10 is 10 comes after the 9. So it is 12, 11, 9, 8, sorry, 10. So this factor activated factor 9 in presence of calcium and the factor 8 which is activated by thrombin in presence of thrombin gets activated. It converts factor 10 into activated factor 10, and this activated factor 10 then combines with the platelet phospholipids which are released by the platelet when it comes in contact with the collagen, and thus forming the prothrombin activator. So for this prothrombin activator formation, it requires activated factor 10, then platelet phospholipids, then factor 5 and the factor 4. Okay, so let's read again. So when factor 12 that comes in contact with collagen, it is converted into factor activated factor 12 in presence of kallikrein and high molecular weight kinogen. Factor 12 converts factor 11 into activated factor 11 in presence of a high molecular weight kinogen. The activated factor 11 activates factor 9 in presence of factor 4. Okay, activated factor 9 activates factor 10 in presence of factor 8 and factor 4. When platelets, now whatever activated factor 10 is there, it combines with the platelet phospholipid which are released by the platelets when they come in contact with collagen and the factor 5 to form prothrombin activator. So here it ends the intrinsic pathway, because the function or the role of ultimate aim of the intrinsic pathway or extrinsic pathway is the formation of this, that is prothrombin activator. So next is extrinsic pathway for the formation of prothrombin activator. So as I said, the steps which are there in this extrinsic pathway are fewer as compared to that of intrinsic pathway. So in this pathway, formation of prothrombin activator is initiated by tissue thromboplastin, which is formed from injured tissue. Okay, so tissue thromboplastin or tissue factor is responsible for the formation of prothrombin activator. Okay, so it is initiator. So sequence of events in case of extensive pathway, it include tissues that are damaged during injury, release tissue thromboplastin, which is factor 3. Okay, so this thromboplastin contains proteins, phospholipids, glycoprotein, which act as proteolytic enzymes. Okay, so the glycoprotein and the phospholipid component of the thromboplastin convert factor 10 into activated factor 10 in presence of factor 7. Okay, so this activated factor 10 reacts with factor 5 and the phospholipid. This step 3 is similar or same as that of the intrinsic pathway. Here we have taken somewhat a shortcut. Okay, instead of all that 12 to 11, 11 to 9, 9 to 10, and that 10 combines with the factor 5 and the phospholipid, instead of that we have directly taken factor 3, which uh, converts or which activates the factor 10 to the activated factor 10 in presence of factor 7. Okay, so this is the extrinsic pathway. So whenever there is tissue trauma, the tissue factor, that is factor 3, it activates the factor 7, and also it is responsible for activation of factor 10. Okay, so this activated factor 10 along with the tissue factor and the calcium and the factor 5 causes formation of prothrombin activator. Okay, so in stage 2, the now the prothrombin activator or prothrombinase is formed. So it converts prothrombin into thrombin. So blood clotting is all about thrombin formation. Okay, it is all about thrombin formation. So once thrombin is formed, it definitely leads to clot formation. So what are the sequence of events in the stage 2? That is prothrombin activator, which is formed or which is result of intrinsic and extrinsic pathway. It converts prothrombin into thrombin in presence of calcium, that is factor 4. So once formed, thrombin initiates formation of more thrombin molecules. Okay, so this thrombin initiating formation of more thrombin molecules is example of positive feedback effect. So in positive feedback effect, you have already studied about this, that whatever stimulus that cause the change in the equilibrium, it is being strengthened by the positive feedback system. In case of negative feedback system, that stimulus is negated. Okay, it is nullified. But in case of the positive feedback system, that stimulus is strengthened, that more and more change will happen. So here the thrombin which is being formed, it is actually promoting the formation of more and more thrombin. And this more and more thrombin which is being formed, it helps in the strengthening of the clot formation process. Okay, so initially formed thrombin, it activates factor 5. Okay, so the factor 5 in turn accelerates formation of both extrinsic and intrinsic prothrombin activator. Okay, which converts prothrombin into thrombin. So this effect of thrombin is called as positive feedback effect. Okay, so second example of the positive feedback system. So stage 3 is conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin. So this is the final stage of blood clotting, which involves conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin by thrombin. So thrombin which is formed in the stage 2, it converts inactive fibrinogen. Again, this fibrinogen, it is part of the blood itself, and this is the factor 1, clotting factor 1. Okay, so this inactive fibrinogen gets converted into activated fibrinogen due to loss of two pairs of the polypeptides from each fibrinogen molecule. So this activated fibrinogen is called as fibrin monomer. Okay, so this fibrin monomer polymerizes with other monomer molecule and form loosely arranged strands of fibrin. Okay, so later these loose strands are modified into dense and tight fibrin threads by fibrin stabilizing factor, which is factor number 13. So it stabilizes the fibrin thread. Okay, so earlier on, which were the loose strands, they become, or they turn into the dense and tight fibrin threads because of the factor 13. Okay, so this factor 13 is responsible for conversion of loose strands of fibrins into dense and tight fibrin threads. Okay, so it happens in presence of calcium ions, that is factor 4. So all the tight fibrin threads are aggregated to form a meshwork of stable clot. So meshwork, we say the fibrin threads will be arranged something like this, and in between you will find the platelets. So this is meshwork of the fibrin threads which will hold the platelets together. Okay, so this is the combined diagram in which you will find all the three stages. That is, stage 1 consists of intrinsic and extrinsic pathway which are responsible for the production of prothrombin activator. So this prothrombin activator will convert prothrombin into thrombin. Okay, so this thrombin which is formed, which will provide positive feedback towards the factor 5. So activation of factor 5 will be brought about by this thrombin. So this thrombin which is formed at the end of stage 2, it will convert fibrinogen which is in inactivated state to the activated fibrinogen. So by removal of the two polypeptide chains, so this fibrinogen or the fibrin monomer, it will undergo polymerization process to give rise to the loose strands of the fibrin thread. Okay, so these loose strands of the fibrin thread, then in presence of factor 13 and the factor 4, will get converted into dense and uh, dense fibrin network, thus forming the tight fibrin clot. Okay, so that is the end of my presentation and this particular point, that is coagulation mechanism. Okay, so I will